when we grow up, the first thing we start with is listening. We hear the voices when we are babies. We hear from our mothers, our brothers, our sisters, all the time, until at the later stage, we learn how to read and write.
Even before you are born, before you can see the world around you, and everything is still dark, you can hear. And it is loud. In the womb, you can not only hear sounds from your mother, like her heartbeat, but you can already hear the outside world as well, such as voices and music. Hearing might very well be the most developed of all the fetal senses, meaning it's your first real means of communication. And as soon as you're born, you're confronted with this huge sensory overload of sound. At first, sounds from your home, like family, visitors, or maybe a radio playing. And later, sounds of a city, like a market or traffic passing by. The first and foremost function of all these sounds is to keep you alive. Think about it. You still don't have eyes in the back of your head, unlike your mom, but you can hear if danger is approaching behind you, which is especially handy if you're a baby and you can't even lift or turn your head. And as soon as you start crying, your mother will hear that, even if she's in a different room, and she will come to comfort you. She can't see you, she can't feel you, but she can hear you. That is because sound is always, and it is everywhere. It is never, ever, absolutely silent. Unlike with vision, where you can simply turn your head or close your eyes when you don't like what you see, you cannot simply close your ears. Sound is inescapable. And our environments are actually filled to the brim with sounds that are quite meaningless and unimportant to you. Think of traffic in the distance, music playing somewhere in the background, mechanical noises such as air ventilation systems and beamers, and of course, all those WhatsApp notifications and ringtones of other people that are not meant for you. So the most important thing you learn during your childhood is actually how to ignore sound. And while we become pretty good at playing deaf, it doesn't mean you don't hear these sounds. And the decision whether to pay attention to a certain sound or whether to ignore it becomes more and more automated and subconscious as you grow older. But it doesn't mean you always have control over that process. And even when you're unaware of it, that process is actually really tiring because it costs you a lot of energy. So that is actually the reason why it is very important to open up your ears and become aware of all the sounds in your environment. Think about a bit later in life, the age that you're probably now, and you really need to start focusing hard because you have to study for an exam or do your homework. You probably either eliminate all sounds by going to a very quiet place, like a library, or you surround yourself by sounds, because you listen to instrumental music or you go to a coffee shop. If you're the first type, you simply eliminate any distractions. However, in a very quiet environment, even the smallest and softest of sounds can be really distracting. If you're the second type, you're surrounding yourself by sounds that put you at ease. And your brain doesn't need to be constantly alert when you're listening to soothing music or you're listening to people around you chatting and having a good time. Also, because the auditory space around you is filled, single outstanding sounds won't be so disturbing. The same actually applies when you grow even older. Try to imagine you're the age of your parents. Most of you will probably end up working in office spaces. In these offices, it's actually really important to focus because you're surrounded by sounds that might be of importance to you. Think about a group of colleagues discussing a project you're involved in, or the latest gossip, of course. Because these sounds might be important, it is very difficult to ignore them. This again is that automated process of attention allocation that you're often unaware of. So there are a lot of sounds in your environment you're trying really hard to ignore, but you're forced to listen to, and you'd rather not hear them at all. And that is why, as you grow older, you crave more and more peace and quietness. And it's actually to give your ears some rest. And rest for your ears is rest for your head. So natural environments actually are very healthy for you. Not only because the air is cleaner, but also because the sounds do not demand your attention, but they put you at ease. So that is why your parents want to take those boring walks on a Sunday through nature. Unfortunately, our modern man-made and mechanical environments are the exact opposite. And your ancient caveman brain is just not up to date with our 21st century environments. All these sounds, even though you're unaware of it, do have a negative impact on your well-being. There are sounds at your work you're trying to ignore, traffic noise you're trying to ignore, advertisements that screaming for your attention, construction workers when you want to relax, and the music you're having is just impossible. Unfortunately, our living and working environments are mostly designed to look pretty and not necessarily sound healthy. And because of that, every year, 20 million Europeans are annoyed by noise. And 8 million of them suffer from severe sleep disturbances. It is even estimated that every year in Europe, 10,000 people die because of noise. That's because noise, such as unwanted or unexpected sounds, cause a lot of stress. And this stress, even when you're not aware of it, increases the risks on cardiovascular diseases, such as high blood pressure or cardiac arrest. So now you know, it's really important to become aware of the sounds in your environment and the effect they have on your thoughts and on your health. So I would say, it's about time that you'd open up your ears. And then, at last, when you die, sound is the last sense to go. There are many stories of people with near-death experiences who describe that even when they lost all vision, they could still hear their doctors and their family speak or pray. So you end your presence in this world the way you started it. Dark and loud.